500,000 more Russian fighters. That's what Ukraine is bracing for tonight. 500,000 more Russians and a major onslaught. Here's Ukraine's defense minister with the chilling warning.
Officially, they announced 300,000. But when we see the troops at the borders, according to our estimates, it is much more. We think that they have already mobilized 500,000.
500,000. It sounds huge on an absolute basis, and if it pans out, it is huge. Just to give you the context, 500,000 is nearly 2.5 times more than the number of Russian fighters used to invade Ukraine nearly 1 year ago. And the predicted new offensive could be just weeks away.
We think that, given that they love symbolism, they will try something around February 24th.
February 24th, of course, marks 1 year since the beginning of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. And as Ukraine braces for what could be this massive onslaught, the nuclear drumbeat again growing louder in Russia. Just listen to what's being said tonight on Russian TV.
This ends with our victory, or this ends in a nuclear World War III.
The defense minister of Ukraine is saying that Russia's already mobilized 500,000 soldiers, that they're seeing them amass on these borders again. Do you think that we're about to see a big change in this war?
Well, I really don't. I think we may see a big change in this war in a couple of months. But as the soldiers said, this is very much like World War II. No, in fact, this is like World War I, the trench warfare in France that went on for years and years. Unfortunately, I think in the near term, we're going to see much the same for the next couple of months until one side or the other prepares for a counteroffensive. That's why we got the tanks. That's why we're bringing in the tanks so the Ukrainians have a chance. And the Russians may have plans on their own. But I certainly hope we're interdicting their lines to make sure the majority of these troops never show up.
Katerina, you pointed out to us that soundbite we played of, sort of the most prominent Russian state media television anchor, right, threatening that if the Russians don't win, it's nuclear World War III. And you're pointing out that a lot of the Putin TV commentators on state media are backing more action. They really are upping the rhetoric right now. Let me play how another prominent TV host put it.
Why the f would our state build up a stockpile of strategic and tactical nuclear missiles? Why? Just to be afraid of using them?
Katerina, what do you read into that? And what does the Russian public really think at this point?
This was Vladimir Solovyov, one of the biggest stars of Russian propaganda, Erin. Actually, the situation right now is dangerous for Vladimir Putin. As we can see, they don't have any other tools to use for Russian public and for the Western world except for these threats. They are threatening the world with this World War III, with the nuclear weapon, because this is the last hope that they can catch right now and offer the world. The attitude of people in Russia is fear, actually. The society is terribly depressed. People understand that this is the war, actually, that this is not a special military operation, how they called it before. Vladimir Putin is already calling this a war, and Sergei Lavrov, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and others, they're not hiding anymore that this is a very serious situation, and people are understanding it right now. So this is the new stage for Russian society. And they can hear this words about the nuclear weapon. I know that people are scared to death. They don't want this nuclear war, of course, because they don't want to die. They want to, raise their children and so on and so forth. So they're looking for some kind of, maybe soft moment. They're looking forward to maybe freezing this war, because this is the only way to survive for Russian citizens. They don't know how to see the future without Vladimir Putin, because he has built a terrible repressive state where no one has the right to think freely or to talk freely, as you know.
So General Kimmett, a well-known and highly respected Russian analyst, said this about the current state of the Russian military in the context of what Katerina just said. Here it is.
By the start of the mobilization, our airborne forces lost 40 to 50% of the staff.
Look, it's an incredible admission, right, happening on one of those very same programs, General. So I do want to emphasize that. But to say something like that nearly half of Russia's airborne forces are gone, I mean, it's stunning. But then I think about what the Ukrainian defense minister said today, that Russia has 500,000 more soldiers coming. General, what is the real picture here?
Well, I think the real picture is quantity has a quality all its own. If they are going to be pouring 500,000 troops in, that's going to make a significant difference no matter how many tanks we give, no matter how much artillery they have. But I wouldn't put too much stock in what the defense minister said. There's an old saying in the military, the first report is usually wrong. And that seems like an awful large number to anybody that's been following this for some time.
It certainly does. I mean, you heard it today and sort of said, wait a minute, it wasn't the math that we'd heard of the mobilization or anything, but it is a stunning number. Katerina, you have extensively covered Putin opposition leader Alexei Navalny. He is in the news today, his lawyer saying that he is being transferred to even harsher solitary confinement. He, of course, is the opposition leader in Russia and was poisoned by Putin's men and then put into a penal colony. Sometimes he's able to pass messages to his team and then they post them on Twitter. Today, that happened. And this was posted. Quote, when something like this happens to you, you realize how important it is to fight this unscrupulous regime, how important it is to do just about anything in order to throw the yoke of these scoundrels off Russia and dispel the illusion that they have planted in the heads of millions. Let us try to remain strong and do all we can every day. And yet he physically seems weaker every time we get an image of him, Katerina. And as I said today, going to even harsher solitary confinement. What happens if he doesn't survive?
It's going to be a huge problem for Vladimir Putin because he has already tried to kill him, and we know that. But it was a different time. Right now, when the level of fear and depression in Russian society is so high, when everyone is at the edge, when mobilization is something that people are scared very much, and we know that because we can see how many people watch us, and millions of Russians are asking questions about mobilization in particular. So Navalny, his death, if it happens, it's terrible, but if it happens, can be a huge trigger for Russian people to go out on the streets and to protest and to change something. I don't want this to happen, of course, and no one wants this to happen. And Putin doesn't want it to happen. So that's why they're not killing him in jail. This is the only good news for Alexei Navalny and for the civil society of Russian Federation, which survives out of Russia, unfortunately, right now. So yes, he's in a terrible circumstances. They're trying to break his personality, his stamina, but he is proving every single day, Erin. If you look at him, if you look what he says, what he writes, what he tweets with the help of his lawyers, you can see how strong this person is. Yeah. And I am sure that he survives, actually.
All right, Katerina, thank you very much. General Krimmett, thanks to you.